Prosperity Stock Report delivers you digital insight. Digital insight into what's happening behind the scenes with Canada's most promising publicly traded companies, exciting startups, and the deal makers that keep stock markets flowing. So get ready for our next unscripted interview. Now, here's your host, Derek Ivany.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Congrats to those who traded FGD. We saw a whopping 269% gain in just over a month on that. So we're pretty excited about that. And right now we're currently looking at ZNK on the CSE, which is Kootenay Zinc. And we just recently announced Jericho into our special situation portfolio. Those of you who may have listened to our interview with Jericho's CEO, Alan Wilson. It's on the site. If you want to check it out. It's also on iTunes and Google Play. So on today's show, though, we're going to be speaking to Andrew Skafel, the CEO of Edgewater Wireless, TSX Venture Wi-Fi, YFI, and for the American audience, the tickers KPIFF, and E14 on ZBourse Frankfurt for our followers in Germany. Dankeschön. Some of you may be familiar with Wi-Fi, though. In the past, it's one of those rare companies that actually sold a technology to a big player in the tech space. In fact, they sold a non-core patent to Apple. And the stock saw some tremendous action in the past. So since then, it's settled down and they're working on their core technology as the Apple patent wasn't part of their core portfolio. So we think there's a lot to happen here down the road. And I think now is the time to maybe take a further look into the company and see what's kind of interesting about where they're headed towards the single channel technology they have. So without further ado, let's get started. The last time we met in person, I guess, was several years ago. We played an earlier role in the RTO, and you were president back then. I remember you were doing some stuff in Brazil. I think you founded a GSM operator.
That's right. Yeah, it was it was quite a while ago now. We've changed a lot since then.
Yeah.
Learned a lot along the way. But it was it was all good stuff, but it's been how they go. It's been an adventure.
Yeah, so welcome to the show.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So I wanted to circle back, back in the days. So just kind of tell the audience how you got started in this industry.
I really cut my teeth in this industry working internationally. My first real tech experience was with Newbridge Networks, based in the Asia Pacific region. And, from there, I went on to Alcatel and then Silicon Valley-based Interwave Communications, working mostly in the Asia Pacific region. And then after doing that for a number of years, I drank the Kool-Aid and actually went from the vendor side of the business to the operator side of the business and started a GSM operator in Brazil. And I think, the things that have really kept me interested in the industry is the constant change, constant growth and development, and the overall global opportunity for tech.
Right. And there's been a lot of movement back then in the space. I think I was in University in Ottawa during the Nortel days, but I guess when you worked at Newbridge, it was acquired by Alcatel. And that was a Terry Matthews deal, an Ottawa tech legend.
Exactly. And that Ottawa connection is really what brought me back to Canada and to Ottawa in particular.
And Terry worked with Michael Copeland. And I remember when I was in Ottawa, Michael Copeland had the coolest house ever back in the day, and we used to always drive to his house to look at his copper roof.
Nice, very nice.
And
I think it's probably still around.
Probably, yeah. I should probably go by and check it out. And you also mentioned Interwave, and I think they were also acquired by Alvarion, right? An Israeli company.
That's right. Yeah, they were acquired by Alvarion, had some really good technology, and captured the growth of the growing, when mobile started to take off. Right.
It's funny, and I guess so. You come to Ottawa, you do your thing. I guess the other guys go forward with Alvarion. It's kind of unique because Alvarion, they also have a product in the AP space called Arina 25. Are you familiar with it?
You know what? I'm not all that familiar with Alvarion's product set now. They've changed a lot since I was familiar with them.
Well, you might want to keep an eye on them because Israel and tech is really leading the way these days in a lot of stuff, especially around security and information technology. And I know that their Arina 25 is a pretty interesting product. It's a dual 802.11 ACN product, 5,000 APs, 50,000 users per controller. So it's kind of interesting. I know it's all about density and things like that these days that Wi-Fi is doing, but it seems like they're about, I guess, user capacity. So you might want to take a look at it. But anyways, we got involved earlier in the day, in the early days of the RTO, and we've gone through some ups and downs. And I know that in this business, timing is really key to things, especially when you're in the startup phase. So I think I guess it's not really more recent, but probably one of the things that kind of happened after I got involved was the whole Apple deal that happened when you guys sold a patent. And I think that really validated, the engineering capabilities. So, what happened then? Because I wasn't involved, and obviously a lot of stuff happened. That's kind of when Wi-Fi started, getting recognized and picked back up, and here we are today.
Yeah, that was a real transformative transaction for us. And what's interesting is, like many emerging tech companies, we went out of the gate with a good technology, but really didn't understand where it fit and how it played, and had to do a bit of work on the technology and getting it up to speed. So we went through a period where our CTO and founder actually rolled up his sleeves and did a deep dive on our patent portfolio and really started to look at, where our patents lie and brush that up against the Wi-Fi standard and the FCC standards and things like that. And he, after doing this for a number of months, he surfaced and he said, well, wait a minute, we actually have something here. We have something that nobody else can do. And it's really around density. We can support a higher user density than the traditional approach to Wi-Fi. Now, around the time when we started to really get clarity on this density positioning for us, we were approached by Apple around one of our non-core patents, and that corresponded with that repositioning of our value proposition around density and really validated the technology.
Right, and
which is pretty cool. Like that's the type of thing that just doesn't happen. Apple very rarely does patent deals.
Well, something like that would be a main catalyst for a lot of junior enterprise level tech companies, like doing something with Apple. It's like that's the main milestone, and you're done, kind of thing. So it's interesting that it's a non-core patent, and you're able to get a deal done and validate the company. But that said, I know that historically, I guess you guys spent over $60 million already on various patents. So today, how does a patent portfolio look?
Our patent portfolio is now over 20 patents, and they're largely around mitigating interference in a technology called OFDM, which is a ubiquitous wireless approach. So it's something that we're really, we believe is really important in the company, is the patents and the technology.
That's excellent. And are there any patents around 5G?
It's interesting, right? Like 5G is not a standard yet, but there are a lot of things that we do in that patent portfolio, which are around OFDM, which will likely be part of the 5G standard. So we think there may be some applicability of the patents there as well.
Right. And I see that there's a lot of discussion going around about your partnership with UpRamp. And I guess that's a tech incubator in the industry there?
It is. It's actually an affiliate of CableLabs, which is the global R&D arm for the cable industry. Right. And they've got 55 members, companies like Comcast, Charter, Rogers, et cetera, are all members. And what they were finding is getting new technologies and driving innovation within the cable industry was particularly challenging for smaller companies with really cool technology like ourselves. So they created UpRamp to accelerate the adoption of new technologies within the cable space.
Right. And I guess it's all about leveraging the key contacts those guys would have within that space. And I know that you're also doing work with the company Curio, which is, I guess, another subsidiary of CableLabs. But I remember seeing that UpRamp was looking at 16 deals that were in place from 4 different companies. Is Wi-Fi one of those companies?
Yeah, so they we very much are. We were one of 4 companies selected for the UpRamp cohort, and it's really been a catalyst for us getting in the cable industry. We've gone from last August having no deals or no real prospect in the cable space to having 6 engagements within the cable space.
Wow, it's exciting.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing. And then I think, building on that, you mentioned Curio earlier. Curio is the test house for CableLabs. So these guys have tested hundreds of Wi-Fi access points.
That's right.
And they actually had our equipment in their labs for 2 or 3 months of very intensive testing and validation. And for us as a emerging tech company, we can say all we want about our products and say how great they are. But really getting that third-party validation that, number one, we actually do what we say we do. We do multi-channel Wi-Fi, which is something no one else can do. Getting that validated by somebody like Curio is a really big validation for us. And then also within that sphere, Curio actually understands where the problems are in the cable industry or where the challenges are in the various approaches to Wi-Fi. So they had us run through some very specific test cases that really helped us understand where the market is for Wi-Fi 3.
Right.
Going into the program, we really understood that the mathematics of doing multiple channels is unbeatable in high density applications. And our assumption was that those high density applications would be the corner cases like stadiums or convention centers and venues. And what we found is that same dynamic actually takes place in condos and multi-dwelling units. And, because of this increased device density.
Right.
And now we're even seeing that same dynamic is actually coming into the home. The traditional approach to Wi-Fi is really struggling to deal with device density in your house.
That's right. And I guess that gets into the whole Internet of Things stuff and all that. And I wanted to get into that. But before we do, is the main technology and what powers the various brands that you have, I'm assuming it's Wi-Fi 3 is what the main, the main component behind everything is?
That's right. That's what we've branded our core technology. And maybe it's a good opportunity to take a step back and really, talk a little bit about what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I'm sure like everybody's really familiar with bad Wi-Fi. It's really a ubiquitous problem, right? Like getting your Wi-Fi getting very slow or it really struggling, and that's largely because of interference and capacity issues that the traditional approach to Wi-Fi really struggles to address. Now, the traditional approach to Wi-Fi is to use a single channel or a single lane highway to address problems or to address, capacity. So what we've done is really our innovation is to start with a clean slate and say, well, wait a minute, how do you deal with a lot of devices? It's really, not all that difficult to figure that out. It's the same way you deal with heavy traffic. You put down more lanes.
That's right.
So what we've done is do more lanes over Wi-Fi or multi-channel Wi-Fi. And that's really our patented approach, what we call, Wi-Fi 3. And what we found is there's really two approaches to radios. There's single channel and multi-channel. Single channel is, what folks like Broadcom or Quantana do, and multi-channel is what we do.
Excellent. And I'm assuming that the testing that was being done by Curio was around how that multi-channel technology works and how did it perform when everything was said and done?
We were really pleased with the way our radios performed in the testing. We learned actually that our radios are among the best performing radios that they've seen, just in terms of transmit power and cleanliness of the RF. Because one of the assumptions people always make is, you're doing multi-channel, so you have to have some compromises. Well, actually, we don't have compromises on the performance, which is pretty cool. Our engineers are really happy about that. But what folks are really happy about is, how it performs in certain applications. And one of the applications that they ran us through was something called a sticky client. Now, the sticky client is probably the top cause of slow Wi-Fi. And that happens when, you're sitting in the airport and, you're surfing away, it's going great, and then your Wi-Fi slows down because someone has walked away from the access point. That same thing happens in the airport as it happens at your home. And a single lane highway, that's like having a slow car going in front of you. Now, having a multi-lane highway means that we can deal with that problem better than anybody else can. Because we can have a slow lane to deal with the slow person and a fast lane to deal with the fast people.
Yes, well, there's definitely a huge need for capacity. I know that you guys were in talks with a Fortune 500 retailer in the States, and I think you guys were doing some testing with those guys as well. How is that going?
That's actually going very well. We've been working with a Fortune 500 company for a little over a year now, and have progressed through them testing our products to validate that they deliver the type of service that they want in their application, to them transitioning to being an OEM and licensing partner.
Okay.
And what that means is they're actually taking the core Wi-Fi 3 technology and they're building it into a custom product that they're building, which is a really cool development. Now, we've recently hit a milestone in that we've had a release of a beta load of software that allows that thing to function. So it's the world's first multi-channel access point within this custom platform. So it's a really big step for us. Excellent.
And assuming everything goes well there, how many stores or units is the company looking at doing with this partner?
That's something that we're not at liberty to disclose. However, to put it into context, when a customer spends over a year developing against your platform, they're making a significant investment.
Absolutely.
And that significant investment, translates into a large need to be filled.
So from a Pubco perspective of what you can say a deal like this is rolled out, how do you think this would change the outlook for Wi-Fi?
This type of deal for us, builds on the validation that we've had from somebody like UpRamp or someone like Apple. So it's a real transformative piece for the company for sure.
Absolutely. And I know that you guys were also, and we're trying to touch base for probably the last few weeks. I was in Europe and you're all over the world, also including Europe and more specifically in Barcelona at the Mobile World Congress. So how did that go?
That went very well for us. Mobile World Congress, it's the global gathering of wireless and mobile people. So any large operator or service provider that you can imagine is at this type of show, and there's the accessibility of that. And I think going into that show with the wind in our sails from the UpRamp engagement and the Curio testing was allowed us to operate at a completely different level than we have before.
Right, and you guys made a pretty big announcement over there.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing to come out of the show for us. We actually launched a new product called Era that we have developed, based on all of the key learnings from the Curio testing and the CableLabs engagement and the work we've been doing with the Fortune 500 company. So it's a really differentiated product. It's the world's first Wi-Fi access point to deliver 6 concurrent channels.
Right.
So this is a significant amount of capacity that no one can come near.
And is this an indoor product or an outdoor product?
It is. It's an indoor product, and it's really been designed to be easily deployed and to be, aesthetically pleasing. I don't know whether you've seen some of our outdoor products. They can look pretty industrial, but this
they look like the old GSM style boxes kind of thing.
Exactly. And this thing is actually quite a sexy product.
So it's more like a nice, sexy Cisco router or something like that.
I would say even better looking than Cisco.
More important. Yeah, for sure. So then with that said, I'm assuming that this is obviously a high density device that gets into the whole IoT arena, where today everybody has their entire home in one way or another connected to the internet, their fridge or their Nest thermostat or even light bulbs. So I guess this thing is what a consumer would essentially need to power all these devices, as well as the future devices that are going to be coming out.
That's right. This product is really designed to capture the needs today and tomorrow from that density that's coming with the IoT devices. Yeah.
So when you look at Era, which is it's powered by Wi-Fi 3 in the background, is a device like that and what Edgewater is doing, is it closer to like a Meraki or a Ruckus?
What we've actually learned anecdotally is, the Merakis, the Ruckuses, the Ciscos, the Extremes, whoever, they're all based on the same reference design. Mm-hmm. Which means they have the same weaknesses in high density. So, something like the Era product is in a category to itself in that, it delivers more density than any of those products can.
Well, that's definitely important.
Exactly. And having something that's that differentiated and really focused in on, the need that's facing the market is, we're pretty excited about it. Going back to the Era piece, mm-hmm. What this, we've launched that under a separate brand, separate look and feel, all powered by Wi-Fi 3. So that Edgewater core technology. But we've positioned this product to really capture that, high volume, space, that's, enterprise and large enterprise space in particular with this current iteration. And it's really the world's first 6-band Wi-Fi router. And we actually, very carefully chose our words on how we position that product, to really start mirroring some of the less technical verbiage and be more, application or more, consumer friendly.
Now, for somebody that doesn't understand the industry terms, it's a dual frequency product, so it has, 2.4 and 5.4 gigahertz behind it. But what does it mean that it's 6-band? Does that mean it has 6 different highway lanes?
That's exactly it. So the non-technical is it's 6 lanes, and what that particular product is doing 3 lanes in 2.4 gigahertz and 3 lanes in 5 gigahertz. And
right now on the market, aside from your product, what's the best product you can get if you were to go to Best Buy?
The closest thing you can find at Best Buy, you could find a Netgear or a Cisco access point that might be 802.11 AC, and they might have a couple of radios in it.
Right, but again, now, it's 2 different radios. Your product is 1.
Exactly. And that allows us, because we're doing it all from one radio, it actually allows us to mitigate the interference. so we can hear these multiple channels. When you start doing it in separate radios, interference is the biggest killer of performance.
Right. And the more radios, the more potential for interference.
Exactly. And that's really what you find in, high density, let's say stadium, right? Why is it so hard to do a stadium? Well, to add capacity, they have to put an extra radio in. And every time you put a radio in, you're adding interference and damaging performance overall.
So single radio and concurrent channels is what Wi-Fi 3 is all about.
That's it.
And I recall you speaking somewhere that creating that combination is an extremely tough engineering challenge. And why is that a tough engineering challenge? And can you maybe explain that in a very, layman term example without getting too technical?
It really comes down to the physics of the way radios work, right? Radios have, when you focus on a channel actually has something called side lobes, and those side lobes are something that typically cause a lot of interference. And there's a whole raft of things that impact performance. So in order to do multiple concurrent channels, that is, $65 million worth of investment right there.
Wow. That's incredible. And is that why you recently made some announcements where you've been adding more software engineers? Is there a need for software development to, I guess, facilitate this type of technology and, create this product?
That's where things are really quite interesting. So the core radio technology is baked. That's the stuff that's been tested and beaten up. So now what we do when we have, software folks coming on is they're adding feature and functionality to meet, specific customer applications. For example, when you're working with a large OEM prospect, you need to help them or work with them to develop driver so they can actually use your technology properly. And that's where a lot of our software guys are focused. Instead of randomly developing features, it's actually customer-facing features.
Right. So,
and revenue-generating features is probably a better way to describe them.
Excellent. So Edgewater is no longer just about hardware. It's now about software as well. Then.
Exactly.
And when you look at a product like Meraki for people that are familiar with Google's product, I'm assuming that's a purely software solution.
No, that's actually hardware. Hardware with some cool software on the back end.
Oh, okay.
So for someone like Meraki or Google's OnHub, or you may see Arrow or folks like that, those are all software applications running on the standard single channel Wi-Fi architecture, the standard reference design.
Okay.
And what we see is that reference design struggles where there's capacity or interference issues. So that's where it comes back to the fact that, well, wait a minute, there's actually a completely other radio approach which directly addresses those challenges, and that's multi-channel and Wi-Fi 3.
So then Edgewater is really in an arena of its own then. And you guys are definitely cutting edge, it seems, in comparison to the competitors.
Yeah, and most definitely. Our patents really lock in the fact that we can do multi-channel. And that's something that we're only now really starting to understand what that means from an application perspective and an addressable market perspective.
And is that the need for connecting with UpRamp to really get, this knowledge mainstream as to how cutting edge Wi-Fi actually is, and to get people to take notice that, are the key decision makers in this, multi-billion-dollar industry?
That's exactly it. And having access to folks that you can learn from, having access to, as part of the program, we had access to a wide variety of mentors from, the various cable operators, subject matter experts, which really helped us learn about, their space, their challenges, and how our technology can fit in and help out.
And I was recently at my buddy Nick's conference, the CanTech conference. I think Nick. I think
right.
Edgewater's done some stuff with him. I didn't see you guys there, but I saw Near on Wireless, who they're pushing for GSM solutions with Facebook called Open Wireless in hard to reach places. But Edgewater also has their own version of that, where I think it's called your Indian Village Initiative. I think you have a JV partner in India.
We have a channel partner in India. Yes.
Right. So how is that still happening? How's that going?
That is still happening. India is one of those global markets where density and interference are massive problems. They've just got so many people in the country, and so many are moving towards connectivity that our technology is a very good fit for the market. Penetrating a market like India takes time, and it takes developing the right partnerships along the way. And I think we've got a good partner with Rare. And
so, do you see potential for future growth then in that market?
We do, and I think the challenge that we've had, like many early stage companies, is we're a small company, and we spent probably the last or since last August really focused in on that cable space, predominantly North America and some of Europe, and so now we're starting to get back to focusing on markets like India.
That's excellent, and going back to the earlier days with the whole Terry Matthews relationships and stuff like that, do you have any guys in the Rolodex that you're able to call and help open up other markets for you? Because I'm sure those guys have some pretty serious contacts.
Yeah, most definitely, and I think that's one of the advantages of being based in Ottawa. Is just we have access to some amazing technical expertise and some amazingly deep Rolodexes.
That's excellent. And aside from India, are there any other foreign countries or other target markets that the company's focusing on?
Yeah, I think we've really had some good success in Europe. We're finding that they're really facing that density issue all over the place, and so we've started to build out in the UK and the Benelux region in particular.
Excellent. And I guess for, newbies that are coming to the story now, what's your outlook for the company this year, and what should shareholders look forward to?
I think this year for us, all of that, that hard work that's gone in over the past number of years is starting to bear fruit. It wasn't by accident that we ended up in the Up-Ramp Accelerator program, and now starting to have that validation of things like Curio, things like the engagements that are going on in the cable space will just serve to propel us forward. So there's some really exciting things happening in the new year, and with the new Era product, we're really excited about the opportunity that brings. That seems to be, hitting the market at just the right time. People understand, density and interference, and even a year and a half ago, people weren't really all that familiar with the problem. So there's a lot of good things happening in this year.
That's excellent. So in terms of the stock price, I see that it's pulled back a little bit. Could be a good entry point for people. Do you expect to see any increased sales or anything like that in 2017 or into 2018?
Yeah, I think this year will be a good year from a sales and revenue perspective. I think we'll start seeing some revenues come in from various segments. The OEM and licensing side, we'll start seeing some revenues come in there with our F500 customer, amongst some of the others. And then on the solution side of the business, we're starting to really see some demand there. Our biggest challenge for the year, I think, will be keeping up with the demand.
And in terms of, say that customer, the Fortune 500 customer comes to you and, wants a significant amount of units. Do you guys have the manufacturing capacity to deliver?
I think what folks, have seen over the last couple of quarters is they've seen us starting to ramp that production process, and we're getting our ducks in a row so we can hit those requirements as they come.
And is the company well financed cash wise to execute on this ramp up?
I think we're like any early stage company. We've got a decent cash position, and now as these things start to come into place, we'll start looking at ways to accelerate the growth.
Excellent. And I know that there was a little bit of negativity around Dwayne, the chairman, who was, I guess, selling some of his position. There was some negativity about that. What measures have been done to fix that and, I guess, change the market perception?
I think probably the biggest thing is there was a large block transaction done, which allowed Dwayne and Edgewater Computer Systems to actually meet their capital needs, and they've entered into a lockup with their share position.
Now, Dwayne was involved with the company for many, many years. So. Exactly,
and he has been one of our largest supporters by far, and is really the technology visionary. And he personally has actually sold no stock. Edgewater Computer Systems, which is our former parent company, was actually selling the stock.
Right. In terms of
and they were both locked up. So
okay.
Dwayne was so confident he put his in lockup as well.
Okay. Now, is there any other, I guess, comments that you may want to add, or any other guidance, for investors that may listen to this that are completely new to the story?
I'm just trying to think if we have if we've missed anything.
We've covered a lot, that's for sure.
We most definitely have. I think we've at Edgewater Wireless we have a highly differentiated technology that is corresponding with a growing and dramatic need in the market. This high density Wi-Fi, and that is something that we're really excited about.
Well, I'm excited too. You guys have turned it around. It's definitely an exciting story. I hope you guys can leverage these relationships with UpRamp and, I guess, the guys behind CableLabs and their relationships to really emphasize the fact that you seem to have a single unique solution to the density problems that are out there. Like the whole single radio and concurrent channel thing is definitely very interesting. And I think that if you can, get those guys that have the abilities to open up doors to, the Googles and the Apples of the world to really take this to the next level, I think it could be really rewarding for shareholders. So I'm definitely excited. I'm also excited about the Fortune 500 deal. I hope, you guys are able to execute on that. And I think that alone could substantially change the company's balance sheet. So there's definitely things to look forward to. I hope that in 2017 we can see some of these things executed. That's
excellent. Well, it's we're definitely looking forward to sticking to the plan and executing.
Awesome. So, are there any more travel plans for you in the immediate future? Because I know like I said, we played some phone tag and you've been all over the world. Where's the next destination for you?
Next destination is the U.S. I'm actually in New York and a few other places next week, so it's another busy week.
Well, I wish you all the best and good luck. And it's a pleasure talking to you and catching up with you. And I hope next time you're in Toronto, you can give me a shout and I can take you out for a coffee or steak or whatever you're into these days. I know the last time we met, I think we had a steak. And that was a long time ago. So how I remember that, I don't even know. But, I think you were president back then and Greg was the CEO. I guess now the roles are reversed.
Yeah, yes, Greg's return to the mothership. Well, that would be excellent. I'll definitely look you up next time I'm in Toronto.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate the time.
Okay, cheers. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in. Over the next few shows, we'll be speaking to some exciting companies in the world of energy metals, zinc, and the high-tech world of photonics.
Do you like our show? Are you interested in learning more about our top stock picks? Visit us on the web at prosperitystockreport.com, where you can join our free small cap newsletter and track our real-time portfolio live and discover how we continue to crush the street and the competition. Experience why we're one of Canada's most successful microcap newsletters today.